Welcome, students. Welcome to class. Today is July the 27th, and we are having, this is week 3 of our topics in entrepreneurship. I'm excited of class today. We're not going to talk long. I actually want to have a quick discussion on your first 2 modules, and then I wanted to discuss modules 3 and 5, which is discussing legal and ethical challenges that entrepreneurs have. And then chapter 5 is literally going deeper into the entrepreneurial mindset. And so what we're going to do for the next hour or so is just talk about those things. But most importantly, I want to hear from you all about the quiz, and I want to give you all further instructions about your final exam and your extra credit assignments. But first, does anyone have anything they would like to share with the class, either something that they've heard in business, some exciting news that's happened to them in their personal lives that you would like to share? Has anything happened before we get started? Nope. Good to hear. Like, no, professor, it's your job to teach. So I'm going to do just that. Before we go to our next subject, I do want us to discuss the quiz. Based on our instructions last, and Isabel, please come turn your phone. And so, as discussed last week, I was able to uplift the due dates that were on your quizzes, and so you all should have access to them. I saw about 13 people took the quiz. Did you all take quiz 1 in here? No?
Yes.
Okay. For those who have taken quiz 1, were you able to, without divulging answers or anything, was the functionality okay? Were you able to take the quiz? It was 30 minutes. I believe if you have other accommodations, you can send me a message and I can alter them there. But you should have had 7 multiple choice or true false questions, and then 3 short answer questions. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Under the short answer questions, were you able to see the explanations of those answers? No. After you've taken the test? Okay. Were you, Stephanie? Could you were able to see the explanations? Was it after I graded your paper?
Only after you graded mine.
Yeah, after you
Oh,
graded.
yeah, I don't want y'all to see it before I graded it. No, I'm joking. I wanted to see when they were going to let you know the answer so that you could see the reason why I provided points for your question. Did you all see that?
Yes.
I know some of you all had, I gave you all partial credit, whether it was 7 points, 5 points, or 3 points on your short answer. And it was basically due to what the question was asking. And so I always go back to what the question asked and was that answered. And if you answered part of it, I wanted to give you some credit. I didn't want to just give anyone 0 credit. So I just wanted to make sure you were able to see the answer after I've graded your papers. Okay, good. Well, we'll look at those for future references. You may see those questions again on your final exam. I will publish the final exam at the end of this week, and you'll be able to take it the last 2 weeks class. All right? Are there any questions? What were your thoughts on the quiz so far without saying a question or an answer?
The quiz wasn't bad. For me, I change stuff up sometimes. So I'll get the answer right and then I'll change it because I think it's something else. But other than that, the quiz was fine.
Okay. And I want to make sure that all of the questions are derived from the curriculum and that this is a place so that we can grow and you can learn. This is a topics in entrepreneurship course. I don't expect you all to go deep into financial statements or creating strong impact analysis. But what I do want is for you all to understand why the mindset of an entrepreneur. There will be other courses in this at school that will go deeper into that. But I just want to make sure you all had a basic understanding of entrepreneurship. Cool? Good deal. Thank you all for indulging me. Now I want to go to our presentation. As soon as I can find it, not behaving all of a sudden. All right. All right. Can everyone see this? Please type in yes in the chat box if you can. No? Okay. Let me try it again. All right. Tell me if that works now. All right. We're good to go now. Okay. So today, like I said, we're going to discuss module 3 and module 5. What I don't want to go in slide by slide and just talk and be very boring and just say, hey, in figure 1, this is what the chapters say. What I want to do is I want to highlight each slide that is presented, and I will give you all my either experience or my perspective. I'll explain to you what the slide is, but instead of me reading verbatim what it is, I want to give you an everyday practical viewpoint of it. Will that work? All right, good. And if you all have any questions, please type it in the chat box. I will leave time between modules 3 and modules 5 so that we'll discuss the ethics and legal ramifications of entrepreneurship first, and then we'll discuss the entrepreneurial mindset afterwards. All right. But if you have pressing questions, please type that in the chat box so I can look it up at a later time. The chapter outline discussed ethical and legal issues in entrepreneurship, the corporate societal responsibility and social entrepreneurship space, which is a different type of entrepreneurship, which you will see in a couple of your case studies for extra credit. And then 3, developing a workspace culture of ethical excellence and accountability. These are just things that most entrepreneurs have to or understand is really important in building a business once they've started business. Most people either have a great product or a great service that they are ready to make a profit in. And so they would jump and start a business. What people typically fail to do is to understand the ethical and legal ramifications on decisions that they make every day, and also how that plays in the entire economic the entrepreneurship ecosystem, which then plays into the larger business ecosystem, and if you agree or disagree with those positions. And then thirdly, entrepreneurs typically wait until later in their development to create a working culture with their employees or with the entities that they work with in their entrepreneurial venture, which could prove to be detrimental. The sooner that you create a culture, the more likely you are able to attract like-minded or efficient types of people in that space because you have a clear identity. So I just want to go over how important those things are. And I also want to give you some examples. All right. These are the learning objectives in module 3.1. You'll develop the ability to identify ethical and legal issues, develop an approach to resolve ethical and legal dilemmas once identified. In the second section, you will define and describe corporate social responsibility or CSR entities and social entrepreneurship entities. You'll also identify types of social entrepreneurship ventures and the key values accompanying them. We're not going to go in specifics today, but they're in your book. And the third section, you'll describe workplace challenges and entrepreneurial culture. You'll distinguish between reactive and proactive approaches to managing ethics. You will describe the foundations and framework of an organizational structure of ethical excellence, and you will define the components of an ethical workplace. Things that will allow you as an entrepreneur or someone who is starting a business. This chapter is great to refer to or use as a reference to identifying what direction you are to create your team, to be able to find the best counsel. So for a couple of you all who are starting businesses, I know that you all are entrepreneurs, a couple of you all are entrepreneurs, please focus on this chapter and chapter 5, as they're great ways to identify legal and strategic ways to benefit your business. All right. Ethics and legal issues in entrepreneurship. What I wanted to highlight on this slide, that there are many different legal issues, but there's 6 key issues, that areas that entrepreneurs face with. And that's one, intellectual property. And that's the main one, I think, because IP isn't, we hear IP when we talk about computers or IP addresses, but in the entrepreneurial space, anything that you create or that's been developed by an entrepreneur is intellectual property. And there's most cases or most disputes between entrepreneurs or between entrepreneurs and corporations that are larger in the same space is the fight of intellectual property. I have, for the record, have been in multiple legal issues dealing with intellectual property, whether it is a large corporation thinking, having a viewpoint that I'm still in their intellectual property. I'll tell you a little bit about that later. I did not, for the record. Or if it's someone who's stealing a program that I created under my business, but they started their own business and profited from it. So there are legal issues concerning intellectual property at all times as an entrepreneur. Contracts is also a legal issue that's key to know. Things, agreements in writing is very important in this environment. Antitrust, that's going into deeper laws, antitrust laws. We could talk a little bit about that in the chapter. Fraud, that is someone that is falsely using something that is not theirs, and it's intentional. Employment issues, not necessarily with unemployment as most people think in legal issues, but the rights that your employees have as an entrepreneur, depending on how you classify your employee, whether they're a 1099 or a W-2, that's something that's really, really identifiable as an independent contractor, 1099, or an employee who has rights of healthcare and other support services through the W-2 program that an entrepreneur must invest in, right? And so those are types of issues, and of course torts, which is another legal case that entrepreneurs deal with at all times. Don't mean to scare you, but to let you know that these are typically legal issues that they deal with. And when you go into further courses at UNT Dallas, there's a business law class that will help you with that at the undergraduate level. There's also a business law course at the graduate level if you're looking to get your MBA at UNT Dallas. So these two diagrams are examples of patents, right? Example A is a drawing of a motor patent that represents a utility patent, and And so that's some machinery. That's probably something for some industrial complex. But the patent to the right is the design of what? The Coca-Cola bottle, which is something that is a finished good that also needs a patent. Why? Why do you think the Coca-Cola bottle needs a patent this specific?
So it can be distinguished from other brands. Like you see it on the shelf and you immediately know that's Coca-Cola, other than like Pepsi or Dr. Pepper.
Exactly, Miguel. Great answer. Someone else, why do you think that's important for Coca-Cola to have a patent that's different, so they can differentiate themselves from the other companies? Why did they do that?
It's their brand. So it represents their company. It's what they, I guess what I'm trying to say is it's their image.
Right.
And so they want to make sure no one can copy that or take the rights of that, and they're building their brand. It's them. It's what belongs to them, basically.
Exactly. So the fact that people have the fact that people want to copy you says something, right? It says that you're successful. And so typically that's normally a good thing if you're able to have legal paperwork that will provide legal consequences for people copying your brand. I say all that to say this. Most people think that they want to make their stuff popular. They want it to blow up before they get patents. But it's really important to get as much legal protection of all of your intellectual property you can, the earlier you can do this. And the reason why I say this is because Coca-Cola probably internally, when they first created the bottle or the soda, they probably thought they had the best thing since sliced bread, but the market did not prove it yet. What happens is as the product is out to market and more people are consuming it, then the drink becomes popular. When that drink becomes popular, the thing that is really patented initially is the beverage, is the formula of the liquid that is probably that is being consumed. But what people don't realize is it's also unique in the packaging that you can have it under too, which will give Coca-Cola a separate line of business that can create the Coca-Cola bottling company that can allow them to not only become profitable, but also protect them from their competitors, like you said. So yes, Miguel was right and Marquita was right in that it's to protect their brand. But every person, every entrepreneur, once they get to a certain level and they realize they have a unique product, and not only the product is unique, but how it's packaged or how it's messaged and all those things are unique to how you create it. Getting those type of legal identifications will help you in your business ventures for the future. Other examples of work is copywriting. To the left, this was you can't really see it, but it is a copyright. It's published text and artwork that are granted. Copyright will expire over time, usually a long period, typically 99 years or so. But that's an example of a copyright to the right, to the left, and to your right, the McDonald's iconic golden arches is a trademark. A trademark does not have an expiration date like a copyright. An example of a copyright, an expired copyrighted song will be the birthday song. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. I can't really sing. I'm not gonna butcher that for you all. But that was a copyrighted song up until recently, maybe in the last 10 to 15 years or so. And so have you noticed in restaurants, there were alternate birthday songs? Like some restaurants say, happy birthday, da 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 da. Hey, have y'all heard that? Or is it just me? Okay. The reason why restaurants did that was because some people who either worked or owned that birthday song could file lawsuits to those restaurants with big pockets who sings that happy birthday song so they can get money. So copywriting and trademarking are very important, and that you have to make sure you're able to distinguish them. There are whole courses that can help you learn this. It's also in your business law course. It'll be 2 or 3 lessons in just trademarking and intellectual property. Here are some antitrust acts that was also a part of that spigot of legal importance for entrepreneurs. There are 4 key things that 4 key acts that entrepreneurs must know so that and understand why they're important. The Sherman Act of 1890 was an act to protect businesses to create monopolies. Monopolies, if you all have taken microeconomics, monopolies create a certain hedge or a certain type of supply demand curve that is more beneficial to the producer at the cost of the consumer in terms of price and availability, right? And so the Sherman Act was enacted so that large corporations, namely the Bell Corporation, I believe at the time, would not be able to hold, oh, no, take that back. It's not the Bell Company. That was in the 20th century. The 19th century example was the American Steel Company, I believe, with one of the titans, either Carnegie, Vanderbilt, or that crew, so that they would not monopolize all of the utilities in the country, right? The Clayton Act of 1914 prohibits price fixing related to practices, right? So it's not as popular as the Sherman Act, but that also is a preventative measure so that people won't agree. If it's not a monopoly, maybe an oligopolistic type space where there are a group of people or a cartel, if you will, can establish a certain price for a product. So instead of one person controlling the entire market, the Clayton Act prevents a group of specialized people to control the whole market, entire market. The Federal Trade Commission Act, also in 1914, prohibits unfair business practices. It's the overall blanket of ensuring that there are ethical practices within commerce and capitalism. And the Bayh-Dole Act of 1980 was the act that encouraged the development of inventions. And when this was also happening during the technological age, when computers, Silicon Valley was being created. And so this is the new wave of inventions, and there are legal protections under that umbrella as well. And so you can research those much more. There are some basic information in your text in module 3 that you should know a little bit about all 4 of these. You may see that question again on the quiz and your final, but just wanted to let you know that. Any questions? Let's see. Nothing in the chat. Good deal. All right. So 3.2, corporate social responsibility and social entrepreneurship is discussed in this section. This module discussed described the corporate and social responsibility, social entrepreneurship structures. Again, you will see a couple of case studies this evening on both of those topics. And also they identify types of social entrepreneurship ventures and the key values accompanying them. We're not going to discuss the specific companies. They're in your book. Please get to know those. All right. Corporate social responsibility, ethics, and law. There are several areas of responsibility for corporate in a corporation. The legal responsibility is the desired outcome is to comply with different laws and regulations. The legal team in the corporation, and that compliance is required by the government. A federal agency requires a legal team in every type of facet in business. The financial area of opportunity in an entrepreneurial venture or in a business focuses on what most entrepreneurs are taught or care or initially dream about. It's profits. It's providing a service to either a consumer or to another business with your financial risks in hopes that you return a profit, right? And this compliance is either required by yourself, which are, if you are a sole proprietor, it'll be yourself. You're compliant to make sure that this is happening. If you're a part of a partnership, it'll be you and your business partnership, your business partner group. If you're a part of an LLC, the same partnership group. But if you're a part of an S Corp or a C Corp, they will be required by your stakeholders for your compliance financially. So in a corporation, your board of directors will dictate how your financial strategy should go, right? How you should direct your profits. In your LLC and your partnership, the group of principals or the owners of that group will determine the outcome of your profits. And if you're a sole proprietor, you're your own boss. You determine what you do with your profits, right? So legal, for an entrepreneur, that's either that's a contracted legal team or a legal attorney. A lot of people, a lot of law offices practice specifically business law. I have a lawyer, Sean Tate of Tate Legal Services. He focuses on real estate and business creation law. There are many lawyers specializing in different things. If you're an entrepreneur and you're seeking legal advice, you should seek a law firm or a lawyer who focuses on and have skill sets in small business law. All right. Your financial, like I said, profits would by your stakeholders. Your ethics, your ethical area of responsibility, it's your desired outcome as you're making profits is to make profits fairly and to avoid doing harm, right? So as an entrepreneur, there are expectations of profits with the hope that when you're making a profit, you're doing it fairly and you're not causing harm to anyone. And that is an expectation by the stakeholders. The profits is required by stakeholders, but making your profits ethically is expected by stakeholders. I want to spend a couple of minutes to just discuss this concept and to hear you all's opinions of the compliance differences between financial responsibilities and ethical responsibilities in the business. Does anyone have any comments on that? Brittany and then Christian.
Yeah. So for the financial, if you're looking for profits, that's your goal. But with ethical, it's almost like a check and balance. So for the financial, it's focused on the profits. With ethical, you're focused on making sure that the profits are done correctly. So to me, it just shows like a check and balance.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Thanks, Brandon. Christian, what you got?
I didn't really have a comment. I was going to ask exactly what would be considered harmful as a profit, like overcharging or something like that.
That's a great example. I'm going to get to that shortly. I want to get to Brittany's comments first because she's absolutely right. And I think it's Mari. I think you put a thumbs up. Did I see that? Yes, financial and ethical responsibilities are like checks and balances, right? So financially, as a capitalistic economy, our core principle is exchanging services for profits. So profits is the number one solution. Like it's the answer, right? If you have profits, you're able to pay your employees, you're able to produce more products, you're able to market more to expand your impact of your market share. You're able to feed your family, things of that nature. Those profits make you do a lot of good things. unfortunately, the profits that you make can have a negative consequence, right? It may not be a negative consequence to you personally as the business owner, but let's say, and I think Kristen, your example was charging too much for your product. That's an ethical discussion which I would love to have. If this were a 16-week course, I would have time to discuss this, and we'll have activities and things. It would be fun, but I can't do that with you all virtually and in 5 weeks. But what I can say is that whenever you have, this is a slippery slope. Whenever you have debates on, well, your price gouging, or if let's take tennis shoes, for example, because that's been in the news the last 20 years or so. The price of shoes, particularly in America, are very expensive compared to how much it costs to produce them, right? And if they're produced in the United States compared to maybe underdeveloped or undeveloped countries where that production is even pennies on the dollar, which shows another ethical issue. That is where there is friction between stakeholders in terms of what's required by them, because Nike executives, I'm using Nike as an example, they will make a statement and say, we are doing what we're required to do. We are ensuring our only obligation, and this is written in code, our obligation is to ensure that as a board of director, that Nike is profitable. That's what I am required to do. My expectation is that we hire a CEO or in a team that'll allow us to make profits ethically. So it's not my responsibility on how we make the profits. It's only my responsibility that I hire someone to have an expectation to make profits. And so that is the discussion and argument that happens all the time between large corporations, small corporations, entrepreneurs, and nonprofits alike, is what is required by businesses or people who are responsible, or what are expected by them. And people are pointing the fingers at each other. And when you have that issue, that causes friction, and that causes drama. I'm sorry to go on a rant about that, but I wanted to show you the difference between required by shareholders and expected by stakeholders. That makes sense? Okay. And so lastly, the social and philanthropic area of business, the desired outcome is to be a good corporate citizen historically, right? And that is desired by, the compliance is desired by society. What does that mean? Well, let's use the same company, Nike. Nike, in order to have strong social compliance, creates programs, sponsorships, and nonprofits that either provides scholarships to young kids, or it will provide clothes to students who are in need or athletes who are in need, or their social responsibility is to be sponsorships of public schools, of schools for their basketball and football teams. So instead of charging market rate for a jersey, which could be, they would state it at $100 something per jersey, they may charge a high school football program $20 a jersey. And the delta of $100 could be under the bucket of social community responsibility. They're being a good corporate citizen because they're giving back, and they will publish that in some type of annual report. Are there any questions about that? Zara, can I move on? Should I? Okay. So the next few slides, next two slides, I wanted to give you examples of multi-billion-dollar corporate responsibility problems. I'm not going to read them. I just want you all to take a look and take a look at them. I will also keep them up for several seconds so that on the Zoom call, you could take a look at them and pause them. I'll give you 5 more seconds. All right, this is another group of businesses. Have y'all heard of any of these? What are some of the ones you heard
Yeah.
of? Which one?
Part of the Mav Ponzi scheme.
Oh, Madoff, right? Talk to me. Was that Blake? I can't see who just said that.
Yeah, Jason Blake.
Oh, yeah. How you doing? Talk to us a little bit about the, well, you don't have to give us the specifics, but in general, could you tell us what he did and what was unethical about it?
Well, so it's been a while since I heard about it, but what I think I remember is that it was kind of like maybe it was a mutual fund, I think it was, but they didn't have the money invested in the fund that they said they did, but they kept telling the investors that they were making, all these profits that
Exactly.
weren't really there. They were kind of skimming off of the top of the mutual fund. So they really didn't have the equity in it that they were telling the investors they had.
Exactly. And it was literally a breach of trust, right? Because he was not only taking from individual investors, but he was taking money from labor unions and those type of funds that people's retirements were tied to. And he literally stole billions of dollars. I think he recently passed away in prison of natural causes a year or so ago. But yeah, these are some examples of multi-billion-dollar corporate responsibility problems, and how I don't want entrepreneurs to get caught in this trap by not having strong ethical and moral compasses. Speaking of compass, entrepreneurs should develop a personal mission and statement to avoid straying from the path they have set for themselves. I think that's really important. And I can say firsthand that that's helped me. Like, my personal mission statement is to enhance the quality of life of individuals in economic development, in education, and in leadership development. Those are the businesses that I create, the initiatives that I strive to do, the programs I want to run and operate stem from building economic ecosystems, building education, and building a leadership pipeline. That is a personal mission statement that has helped me focus on different things that I could have done. I could do work with SpaceX, but I don't really know that well. That's not within my mission, right? It's not directly tied into those 3 things, in my opinion. And so having a personal statement, like spending maybe 10 to 15, 30 minutes in a dark room and just asking, why do I do things? Why do I tick? How am I inspired? And then how can I say that in one sentence will help you, will focus you on whatever journey you have. Identifying your values, right? And this is an activity that you can do. It's also in the book. You can, for all the values that matter to you, honesty, list your 5 most important values, then write them down where you believe you learned each value, whether it was in the past, whether it was at home, at school, at church, things of that nature. And then write a real or potential challenge you may face in living each value. Be as specific as possible. And then commit to an action in support of each value and be specific. If this were a 16-week course, this would be an assignment that we would have in class, but I want you to be able to at least see these 4 questions so that you could do this when you look at this on YouTube or on the YouTube link. and you are wanting to specify your personal mission. All right. Now I want us to discuss about building ethical entrepreneurial ethical spaces. And it says ethical entrepreneurs and managers have these foundational qualities: excellence, fairness, and trust. As you see those three things, in excellence, they have a grander purpose. You create a culture that eliminates internal competition, and you focus on excellence. In fairness, you foster openness. You're able to demonstrate impartiality. You consider ideas and feelings. You like to protect the welfare of all the stakeholders, and you maintain a system of accountability. And in trust, you provide and expect feedback. You base decisions on truth and consensus rather. You class different ideas, but not different individuals. So what you're doing is you're literally hearing everyone's opinion, but you are letting those ideas clash into one huge idea so that everyone can have buy-in and a stake in the future idea. That will not only build trust with your team, but it'll also provide a more enjoyable workspace, as people have a vested interest in that one object to become successful because they have a part of their idea attached to it. And then last couple of things, you listen with patience and respect. That's actually a skill that I continually work on. And that's something that everyone must work on, I believe, to be a more evolved individual. And then you separate yourself from your thoughts and views. And that's also a very important characteristic for entrepreneurs, because you are owning or creating a business, which means you are impassioned or you love what you're doing. When you love something, when you have an emotional tie to it, it's really hard to be objective. But building a team that will allow you to find the best, to create the best product possible. In order for you to do that, you have to trust and be as objective as possible. You have to zoom out and have to trust the team members that you have around you to provide you critical feedback. All right. These are some excellence factors I wanted to share with you. These are excellence factors that are important for all entrepreneurs to know, to have, because these skill sets are positive attributes of a successful business operation. And that's one, having an excellent product or service, right? You need to have something that is sellable, that's memorable, and that you can repeat so that you have repeat customers, right? How you operate your business financially will determine how excellent or how viable your business is, right? You have to have healthy financial numbers to continue to be a fruitful organization. You have to have high-end stakeholders for your product. High-end stakeholders are stakeholders who are vested in a particular product, who will continue to invest in it. Individually, you have to have strong individual factors, excellence factors. So not only as you as a team should work well together, but individually your team members should have individual excellent qualities that they can contribute to the team. Leadership, your leadership as an entrepreneur is vital to the growth of your organization. Societal factors. Is your business plan or your business opportunity match the marketplace or society? Is it societally appropriate? There are things, this is a great example. In 2021, it's not societally appropriate if you want to start a business and you're either going to be xenophobic, misogynistic, racist, or any of those type things. That's not aligned with what society is viewing and becoming more of a unified space or unified force. So those types of factors can impact how your business operates. your operations. If you have great operational systems or lack thereof, that impacts your organizational excellence. Your alignment, your business alignment with your purpose, right? Are you all aligned? Or your team strategy aligned with your business purpose, aligned with your market? Innovation is what you are creating or have created. Is it new? Is it something that is unique, right? And ethics. How you emphasize or you pay attention to your internal, your personal character, and how you share that and spread that with your team members also will impact how great your business can operate. So these are just some excellence factors I want to share with you. You may see these again either on a quiz or on the final exam. Any questions about chapter 3? Anything? If not, would you all mind if, no, I will go forward. I needed some water, but I think I can move forward. We're going to just go through chapter 5 because you all have this in the book, and a lot of these resources in this chapter is really good in the book. I just wanted to give you all, I just wanted to reemphasize a couple of other aspects. Excuse me. So in chapter 5 or module 5, the entrepreneurial opportunity is being discussed. You're also reading on researching potential business opportunities. And then what I want to focus on today, you will be discussing your competitive analysis. This is Chris Johnson, CEO of Rapid Brands. He started his business with, I believe, he created like a ramen brand or so in college. And then, yep, there you go, Rapid Ramen Cooker. He created a cooker of ramen noodles. Brilliant for a college student, especially if it's affordable. And then he's just been successful ever since. So the learning objectives is that you define the entrepreneurial opportunity. We can discuss Joseph Schumpeter's theory, but that's going to be discussed more in the case study. So we're not going to talk about that here. I'm going to assign you all a case study for our discussion next week at week 4 that will discuss Schumpeter's philosophies on social entrepreneurship. And then we'll identify key drivers of opportunity. All right. This is Schumpeter. He's an economist, 19th century economist here. You will read more about him very soon. These are the creators of Spanx. Spanx, as you know, is the undergarment company that now is a global phenomenon. These are the 2 creators, and they're just discussing innovation and creating in a market and how it's expanding. This is a great story. These are some of the questions there. Section 2 discusses researching potential business opportunities. This is describing your opportunity screening, identify common sources of research data, explain how to research and verify business opportunities, and identify industry and consumer sources of opportunities. In this chapter, you see Venn diagrams and things of that nature that describes when the intersectionality of significant market demand, their margins and resources, and the significant structure and size. If you notice, there's a really small intersectionality of those 3, and that's what most entrepreneurs seek. This is an example of SpaceX. Again, this is just talking about how entrepreneurs like Elon Musk really seek an opportunity and use the resources in their existing businesses to create colossal things like this. He's just landed. He just came back from the moon, or from space at least. Wait, I know Sir Bronson did. I know Elon Musk did. No. Did Elon Musk go into space yet? I know Jeff Bezos just arrived back.
No, it was just Jeff. I don't think Elon has done it yet.
Okay, so Jeff and Bronson, because Virgin Galactic have they traveled 60 miles outside the planet's atmosphere as well. So two of the three space guys that we know of are doing stuff. All right. It's just some questions here. Now, similar to the last chapter, I want to show you 10 reasons for small business failures. These are three slides. I want you to read these. I'll keep these up for 15 seconds each. All right, give a couple more seconds here. As you can see, the top four are low sales, lack of experience, insufficient capital, poor location. The next four are poor inventory management, overinvestment in fixed assets, poor credit arrangement management, and personal use of business funds. I'll give you all 15 seconds to read those. Okay, and then the last two are unexpected growth and competition. And I'll let you read these for another 10, 15 seconds. Again, this will be available to you in our chapter, and if you want to review this on YouTube. All right. Another opportunity. I want us to go to section 3.3. Here we go. Competitive analysis. The competitive analysis is a very important aspect of a business plan. For those who have taken my Entrepreneurship 4470 course, I have a section that's 25% of people's final grade that is on their competitive analysis, their competition. Why is this important? Understanding your strengths and weaknesses and understanding your competitions or your competitors' strengths and weaknesses are vital to business growth. And so I just want you to understand the elements of a competitive analysis. I want you to describe tools you can use to refine and focus your planning, which could be those three circles, your SWOT analysis, or even your PEST analysis, which we will discuss a little bit today. Recognize social media's role in saving time and money on research, and understand how a business model helps determine the feasibility of an opportunity. All right, this is a competitive analysis grid for an example of Sid Cycle Shop in Branson, Missouri. If you look at the top 5 columns, you notice the columns are key characteristics, the business cycle, it's called Sid Cycle, the city cycle, spoke masters. Spoke masters, have you seen a spoke that on a wheel that have different branches and things of that nature? It looks like a gear, the spokes of a gear. That's what the spoke masters are. And your target. Key characteristics, if you notice that we established the strengths, your weaknesses, your product quality level, your price point, your location of the business, and how you promote. So Sid was able to know that her strengths were that she knows her product and she is good at repair services. So her strength of her business is I know the types of products in my market, and if there's something that's broken, I'll be able to repair it, right? The thing that the city needs or the city cycle of that business is a repair service. So she is playing, or he, we don't know if it's Sid is a he or she. Sid is acknowledging that they know how to repair things. So they've decided that a repair service is more consistent. What they've decided to do is to have high quality and top brands that they focus on. And their target is price and hours, up 7 days a week and online. So Sid knows that's the strengths, right? Her weaknesses or his weaknesses could be, since it is high quality top brands, they're limited selection, right? Another weakness is that Sid has poor customer service. Another weakness is pricing. There's no entry level products, and their target, a weak target would be a low end quality or no repair facilities, right? So everything that Sid is not, that'll be a weakness for them. All right. And so all of these, and again, I'm sorry, these are different cycle shops. So Sid's price point is the middle. The City Cycle is middle high. Spoke Masters is high, and the Target, oh, I said Target. Target is low. It's the lowest price, right? And they, as you can see, the location of the business. Branson Mall is Target. Downtown Side Street is Spoke Masters. The outskirts of town on City Cycle and Suburban Strip Mall and Sid's, right? All of these things are different competitive analysis of competition. You need to know not only your strengths, weaknesses, your product quality, your price point, your location of business, and your promotion strategy, but you also need to know your competitions as well. Does that make sense? Yep. Okay. Another analysis that you would see is a SWOT analysis. How many of y'all have heard of a SWOT analysis? You haven't? Okay, great. SWOT analysis, SWOT. It's an acronym of strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Whenever I have a venture or I want to make a decision, one thing I can do is I can create a chart or a graph similar to this that will allow me to identify strengths of an initiative or a business, whether it is high education or experience or professional network, the weaknesses that I may have. So if I want to start a business and building a space station, the strength is I love Star Trek. I have great fantasies about space exploration. And a strength is I'm young, I could try to build something in the next 50 years. A weakness is I'm not a scientist. I have not done anything in aeronautics space or exploration. And I live in Dallas, Texas. That's not a hub for space exploration, and a lot of other weaknesses that we can go down. The opportunities is an area that you can use your strengths and weaknesses and make an assessment on how can I benefit or profit from this. So if I were a physicist or if I were an engineer at NASA, my opportunities would be use my skill sets to create my own business to make this company happen. Unfortunately, I don't have much to implement as an opportunity here in space exploration, unless it's if they want someone from the Dallas area, I can guide them to a physicist who is a scientist who will be good to go to space. That'll be the only opportunity I have. And then threats or your competition or things that will threaten your business to prosper. A threat for me will be ignorance. I don't have the knowledge to be a scientist or to be a physicist or to go into space. I don't have that schooling. That's a threat to this business if I had to create that business. Some threats, let's just say if you want to start a restaurant and you want to start a fast food chain, a threat of a fast food chain restaurant that you're starting could be your competition. It could be the proximity of 3 other fast food restaurants within the same block, right? That's what a threat is. So that is a type of analysis that people can do, and they have more of an explanation in chapter 5 in the text. Any questions? Does anyone have a different assessment of a SWOT analysis? I know I did a quick and dirty, real quick and dirty. Did that help anyone? Yes, okay.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
So on your SWOT analysis, if you feel that your weaknesses are too great, do you think that would deter you from pursuing that business?
So it's a great question. The purpose of a SWOT analysis is for you to write out everything so that you can make an objective decision to move forward or not.
Okay.
Some people think that I'm going to create this business as long as it takes, whatever it takes. Sometimes that is not the best use of your resources. If you create a SWOT analysis and you're passionate about something, the analysis may show that you shouldn't start that business. But what you can do is you may be able to partner with someone else and y'all can start a partnership. That's what a SWOT analysis can show, because if it shows that your weaknesses are in administration, accounting, and operations, well, it may be advantageous for you to find either someone as a COO so that you can then hire them and say, okay, I'll start a business now. Or you can say, oh, the business that I want to start are in those 3 key areas. So let me find someone maybe I can partner that are good in those 3 things, but are not good in my strengths. I'm good at marketing. I'm good at promotions. I'm good at knowing the city. I'm good at knowing products, things of that nature. And so I'm going to help this person who has strengths in these 3 things and my strengths in my 4 things, and we'll create a partnership based on this SWOT analysis.
That makes sense. Thank you.
No problem. Glad I can help that. Okay. All right. A pest analysis. A pest analysis can help identify opportunities and threats that can be used in a SWOT analysis as well. So it's another level. So PEST typically stands for political, economic, societal, and technology. So in political, if you're a business, a PEST analysis will determine what type of government that I'm living in or that I am experiencing, the type of trade regulations, or the tariffs. Is it a free trade agreement, things of that nature? What are its taxes? What are the labor laws? That's really important to know when starting a business, specifically in a location where you're going, because if you start a business in Dallas, Texas, the political environment is different than San Francisco, California, which is different than New York, New York. So you need to make this analysis as well so that you know how to most effectively operate. The economic analysis is interest rates, growth, or inflation. That's typically the same within the country. But let's say you want to create a global brand. Well, interest rates will then really be important because you'll need to convert things across countries. You'll need to know their different growth rates. You'll need to know different people's inflation rates. Societal, health, lifestyle, aging, population. Those are important because you have to understand them. Sorry, how about that? Trying to get someone in. Give me 2 seconds. There we go. That is important because you need to know how your market is, what your market is. If you have a toy, if you are creating a toy, you need to know the type of lifestyle or the population that is in that area. Do you have a lot of kids, or do you have single families? Do you have an aging population that are retired, or they're empty nesters? They don't have children. If they don't have children, if you're creating a toy company, that may not be a great place for you to produce. That's important. And lastly, is technology, research, development, and innovation. There are certain areas in the world that's still not privy to technology. People still don't have internet access. People still don't have access to computers or to large servers. Some people don't have access to wired communications. Some people only have access to wireless communications. Some people don't want technology. You have to know where you are in that facet of your business so that you can create the best product moving forward. All of these things seem really boring and it's tough, but this is the pre-work that business owners do to maximize their product. Any questions? The last Venn diagram I want to show is the three circles. The competitive analysis circles helps to identify where there's overlap and where there may be a gap in the market that a new venture could fill, right? The overlaps identify points of parity, the areas where competitors offer the same value with the important identification of the areas of unmet customer needs and how unique competitive advantage is within the industry. What does all of this mean? You have a circle that is your company and your offerings. There's another circle that's your customers and what the unmet offerings are. There's some intersectionality there. That is your market advantage. Now, there's a third circle, like the two circles, if it's just your two, you're living in bliss. Everybody's good. You're providing the service, you're getting paid, everyone's happy. Your customer has whatever product they need. They're paying you on time. Life's great. Unfortunately, there's always a third circle called the haters or called the competitors, right? Competitors are people who are trying to mess up your happiness. They want to make sure they allow as much strife and drama so that they can take your money, take your energy. And you as a business owner always must understand that that is a possibility. And so what competitors do is they draw from your profits. They also detract your clients, right? So they pull from your market share. And so these three circles are always in flux throughout your business cycle. So just know that, excuse me, those are all of the different factors within the competitive analysis. Are there any questions? That's all I have here. I'm stop sharing. Are there any questions for me? Okay, so what I'll do after class, the YouTube, the link will be provided later on this evening. I will also have your 3 assignments. There'll be 2 case studies. One is the case of social entrepreneurship. It's a case study of the history of social entrepreneurship. I would ask you to write a 1-page summary of that and how being a future entrepreneur, I will write all of this down in Canvas, by the way. You don't have to write any of this down. I will want you to write a page summary and how that applies as a potential entrepreneur and how social entrepreneurship can benefit society as a whole. I want to provide you a second assignment that we will discuss both of these next week, by the way, when we discuss social entrepreneurship. This is a case study that I wrote with Dean Shumway, the Dean of the Business School, and it's a specific art case to provide social entrepreneurship education in Dallas. I would like you to read that and to provide a 1-page summary of why we think social entrepreneurship education is important at UNT Dallas. I will give you all that instructions also. And then thirdly, I'll provide you a video link, which will be a YouTube link of Congresswoman Maxine Waters' meeting. It's a 2-hour meeting, 2-hour, 10-minute meeting discussing redlining and banking. And it was a specific hearing session in Dallas, Texas, in which I was a part and I was able to make remarks to Congresswoman Waters, Congressman Al Green, and Congresswoman Eddie Bernice Johnson on having banking practices, redlining and stuff like that. And I want you to write a page on that, the implications of redlining for business owners in Southern Dallas. So those are going to be your 3 assignments that you will see later tonight in Canvas, and I will give you 2 others before the end of next week. Are there any questions? If not, thank you all very much, and y'all have a great evening.
Thank you, you too.
You have a good night.
You too. We're proud, Deidre. You have a good one.